All right. I've been looking forward to this conversation for quite a while, and I cannot wait to see this guy in person, and so glad he has the opportunity to catch up with us. We are talking about Trailblazers PA man Mark Mason joining us on the phone. And first and most importantly, how are you doing, Mace?
I'm waiting to turn the corner. Let's put it that way. Every day, it's an incremental recovery. And I'm told, you have to be patient, and it takes a while. And they say once the therapy and everything starts to really kick in, it really starts to pick up. So I'm kind of waiting for that. And when I see little signs of it along the way, I start getting excited. But I don't want to get too excited. And and then all of a sudden, the next day, it's two steps forward, one step back. I'm just trying to be patient, do what the doctor says. And my wife, my wonderful wife, is just, she's had to take all the time in the world to take care of me every day. And, while I'm laid up, if I just need a drink of water, she has to go get it. And she's just been absolutely amazing. And so, I'm as of today, this very day, I guess I feel better than I have in the last 3 weeks. And I don't know if it was the win last night or if it's my therapy.
Can you get people up to speed on why you've been on the shelf? And I know you've been pretty vocal about it on Twitter, and we've seen some news stories. But for our listeners and viewers, get people up to speed on what is set you
what
back.
What is it that laid me up? Well,
yes.
I can't. To tell you the truth, I think the forensics on this thing, they're still doing it, and I'll meet with doctors, and they'll tell me exactly what happened and why. But the original diagnosis that I was told, in the hospital, is, for the last few years, you guys, every day I go on 2-mile walks, and I do that to keep my vascular system good, because I've had a stent placed in my abdomen. If you've had heard of an aneurysm, an abdominal aneurysm, and so I walk 2 miles and almost every day to keep everything ship shape. And it was at the end of a 2-mile walk that all of a sudden my right leg started going numb, and so what they tell me is that, and this is again not official, but that one of the stents may have failed that delivered blood to my right leg, and it cut off the blood to the right leg. So it was just going numb, and next thing you know, I'm in emergency surgery, and they're doing everything they can to save me.
Yeah. Well, I know I speak on behalf of all Blazer fans, and hope you have a speedy recovery and you get back here soon. It's just Curtis Long's been terrific in your absence, but
yes,
you are certainly missed. Do you have any sort of a timeline? Because people come up to us all the time at the games. Where's Mark Mason? How's he doing? Is he all right? Do you have a timeline at all? I mean, you just want to wait till you are 100% ready to get back.
Yeah, there's no timeline.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for something like this, the doctors have told me, they say, yeah, you know what, you could. There's no reason why you can't go down there and do the games. And then they see but they don't know the conditions where I sit courtside. It's very cramped. And when you have a leg that needs elevation, often, I got to keep the leg up a lot so that it doesn't swell down near my calf and foot.
Well, you're also 7'5", so
exactly.
Yeah.
And so they don't see that.
Right.
And these are doctors, by the way. They're wonderful doctors. They're all Blazer fans, and they knew me, and they were just they felt terrible that the streak was going to end. That I wasn't going to make that the last couple of games of the regular season. They just felt terrible, but they said, there's no reason you can't do that. And I think. And I thought, are you guys kidding me? Because I'm sitting here, my leg is just, is killing me.
Right.
And then I can't imagine sitting there for 2.5 hours, not being able to get up. What if I have to go to the bathroom because I can barely walk? And then like a day like today, I woke up, and for one reason or another, and we talk about turning the corner, I found it a lot easier to walk. I have to use a crutch, and eventually, I can graduate to a cane, and eventually graduate to just, regular old walking. But, all those things, again, come incrementally. And so today, for the first time, I thought, well, I'm walking pretty good. And when the foot is down on the floor, it doesn't feel bad. So over time, it will tell me, the doctor says you'll know. And if you can sit down, if you have the energy, you can go back. But it's got to be one of those things where I'm going to feel comfortable with it. I don't want to sit there and risk it and halfway through the game have to bail.
Mark, you've done a lot of games consecutively, obviously, but you've watched road games on television like many of us, right?
Right.
But this has been your first experience in a long time seeing home games and not being in the arena. Can you talk a little bit about that feeling, if there is a feeling of that uniqueness?
Well, let me take you over to the Mongo board here, and I'll just show you.
I love it.
It is peculiar because things will happen, and I'll be watching on television, and I'll think of how I would make that call. How
right.
I would make that call, that basket. But I do that on all the road games too. So seeing them, seeing the home games, it's almost the same. It's just tough knowing that I'm not there, and that's where I'd want to be, because I guess and I think you guys agree with this. And this is really one of the more fun seasons out of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
We have had. It's just been a great year, and it's the team encompasses everything that people love about team sport, playing together, and guys that like each other. I think all of us has been on a team before when we were kids or wherever, where we just loved it. We made friends with everybody, and had a successful year. And at the end of the year, you got to say goodbye. Well, this now is professional NBA basketball, and we're watching it happen in real life, and it just makes it that much more enjoyable that these guys are seeing the success that they're seeing. And when Chris Paul went down last night and Blake Griffin was hurt, I thought, I'm not feeling sorry for the Clippers at all, because that was us a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I just think that everybody was feeling sorry for ourselves. We're all kind of down. Fans were down. Oh, woe is me. We lost Wesley. We lost 3 other starters, and this is just proof that you don't have to feel that way. That there's the team that was put together here is just as enjoyable, maybe more enjoyable than a team I've been able to call for many years. And I look at the upside for years ahead. And it's really exciting.
Well, we are so thankful you are on the mend, and we cannot wait to see you back to work. Mace, thank you so much. We're up against it. We'll see you back at the arena, and you just keep cheering on those Blazers from your bed.
All right,
there,
I'll be
buddy.
watching you guys, taking notes.
All right, sounds good. All right, Mark
Okay,
Mason, Blazers PA announcer, joining us.